I want to do the same thing that I did for Darktide, but for this game, where I just talk in like an autistic amount of detail about all the classes and little interactions and mechanics that they have. So, real quick, this is objectively the best tactical build, and this is the best loadout. The weapon perks should be pretty obvious. I might talk about them on their own if people want to. But who the hell am I and why should you care? I was the first person in the world to max all classes out, first person in the world to do a no-hit run. Basically, if there's a challenge you could think of, I probably was the first person to do it. I don't know why. I just had a lot of friends who really liked this game and just kind of decided to go hard on it. Anyway, I learned quite a lot in the time doing that kind of stuff, and I just figured I'd talk about it because people seem to be interested in it. So we'll just go through every single perk because a lot of them are terrible. You pretty much only use this perk because the bolt pistol is just really bad, frankly. And tactical has access to the best primary in the game in the Melt-A-Gun, so there's no real reason to not be using this. Like, the plasma incinerator is okay. It's usable. It's not as bad as the bolt guns, but it's not very good. It runs into the same problem as the plasma pistol, where, like, it kind of has ammo issues if, you're playing solo. But this perk is fine if you're using it. Although, to be fair, one problem this perk runs into a lot is trying to remain at 50% overheat just, like, kills you. Because more often than not, you only get like one fully charged shot off with this. Then your next one will overheat the gun. And trying to bounce between keeping 50% overheat and not falling below it pretty much only gives you a window where you can shoot one time. And then you have to wait like a solid second and a half, 2 seconds before you can shoot again. And it just creates a really just awkward and not smooth play style, like, at all. If you're going to use the grenade launcher to abuse the bug, then you just kind of always use this. Anyway. This perk is okay, but there's a few problems with it. Mainly, if you've already perfectly dodged once, you're probably not at liberty to take a heavy hit for at least 4 seconds, which means you don't actually benefit from it very much. And, this perk just kind of wasn't thought out very well. Really, it should just be on perfect parry. That way, it makes it so you can't get knocked out of Gunstrike. Speaking of Gunstrike, this perk is the only decent one in this part of the tree. And this sucks because Gunstrike is really fucking bad. Not having iframes on Gunstrike means it's pretty unusable most of the time. And when you consider it takes like 3 Gunstrikes to set an elite into execution level, and it only takes like 3 or 4 Melta shots, you can straight up kill a Melta or kill an elite with a Melta in the same time you would if you could just Gunstrike them back to back to back. The difference is Gunstrike leaves you vulnerable for 2 seconds to take damage, whereas the Melta kills absolutely everything in front of you. Yeah, literally, if I can help it, I will intentionally not do a Gunstrike because it is a massive loss in damage. If you are ever saying to yourself, man, I really want a Gunstrike right now, you're probably just playing a weak class or with a weak weapon, because every class has access to something that is always just universally better than a Gunstrike. Basically, what I'm saying is not having iframes on Gunstrike makes it virtually fucking unusable. Or at least not letting it get armor back. Just please do something with it. Because think about it. If you parry an elite that's jumping in on you, and then you do the follow-up Gunstrike, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to hit the Gunstrike off, in which case you could have killed it faster by just not Gunstriking. Or 2, a trash mob is going to hit you, knock you out of it, and, like, you're just going to lose health for trying it, and you wouldn't even have gotten armor back unless it would have killed. But then if it would have killed, you could have just gone for a normal execution, which is fully invincible. An execution and a Gunstrike on an elite take almost the same amount of time, but one is invincible and one isn't. Very, very, very strange and stupid design philosophy they have. Anyways, this perk is pretty bad because, like, the pistol's really bad, and again, you either want to be spamming your grenade launcher or shooting the Melta more. I understand that it's supposed to have some synergy with the class innate perk, but 10 seconds is a long-ass time, and you can reload faster. You can reload, like, every, like, 3.5 seconds in this game, so there's really never going to be a time when you want to have, like, 3 reloads worth of downtime on your primary just to shoot your secondary. Anyway, the one time this perk is really good is when you're fighting bosses. because like Carnifex hits you, you dodge it, you get the follow-up gun strike, scan it, and now you can just like nuke it even harder. But that kind of doesn't really happen for a reason I'm going to get into later. This perk is okay. It's not bad at all. It's uptime for DPS. It's really good if you're going to use like actually there's nothing that it's really good with. It's just okay. Bolters are already the weakest weapons in the game, just like objectively, unless we're not like we're talking guns, not melee. So, like the bolt pistol and the bolt rifles are objectively the worst guns in the entire game by a huge margin. There's one exception, and that's the one with the grenade launcher, but that's good because of the grenade launcher, not because of the actual gun. So, like, those are the only weapons that are even like remotely touched by recoil. So, this is taking a perk to make the worst guns in the entire game 10% less miss. Whereas every other gun doesn't just miss because you held down the trigger. They're the only gun. They're already the lowest damage output guns. They have the lowest total damage when you just multiply their damage across their ammo and like consider the maximum number of targets hit. They have the lowest damage potential, the lowest DPS because of their fire rates, and like they also have this downside of if you shoot for longer than like a second and a half, the bloom goes crazy and bullets start going everywhere. So you're taking a perk to nullify a downside that shouldn't even exist. Okay, cool. Anyway, this perk is pretty decent, especially considering you'll always be running the Melta. The Melta has 30% of its ammo in each magazine. So this is basically just anytime you kill like a Chaos Space Marine or a Tyranid with like a whip, you just get like 30% ammo back. Okay, that's cool. This is the exact same as this perk, and it's like, okay, cool. We're making guns that already need help. We're giving them a little bit of help to make them still worse than everything else. That's cool. This actually matters a good bit depending on the weapons being used. If you're going to use like, if you're going to use like a fucking bolter, then this literally does nothing. Yeah, there you go, ragging on bolters again. But if you're going to use like the Melta-Gun, then this is actually decent because it adds a 0.5 damage to it, which I'm not sure off the top of my head if this helps with any breakpoints, but it will help your team kill bosses faster, so it at least does something unlike this. Anyway, this is so much better than the other two, I don't know why you'd ever consider not taking it. This just allows you to heal 30% like past your gray health value, which means you can actually turn taking damage into gaining health. That's neat. Yeah. Like, look at your options here. Make bolters go from 7 damage to 7.2 damage, or convert all potential damage taken into healing gained. Wow, I wonder which one of these is better. Anyway, this is almost good. This needs to have the Majoris tag on it, because you're really only ever going to, at absolute most, get 2 Extremuses and 1 Terminus, or 3 Extremuses, or 3 Extremuses, or like 1 Terminus. You're usually gonna get 1 Extremis per map, 2 if you're playing slow or just really unlucky. And it's like, okay. So this is at most, this is usually like 1 chance to get half your scan back. At best, this is like a free scan, which doesn't sound bad, but then you consider this perk exists, and it has synergy with like the best perk in the entire fucking game. And then you realize this has no synergy with the best perk in the entire game, and it's kind of a head scratcher why they thought anyone would take anything other than this. But yeah, this just makes the base duration of the scan like it's just +8 to any scan duration. Anyway, I don't know why anyone would ever take this unless you're just goofing around and you want to get like a clip. Like you want to upload a clip of like one-shotting a boss with, 3 Melta-Bombs or whatever. Because 25% in tactical terms is absolutely nothing. This is a 0% damage increase. This takes a Melta-Bomb and makes it do like a third of a boss's health. It makes it do like a third and a half of a boss's health. Like, it's really negligible. And then when you consider that, again, you're giving up these 8 seconds of additional scan. Like, the only time you'd want to scan and grenade something is a boss. Like, that's even overkill for an extremist because a crack grenade without a scan already takes all extremists to the point where you can execute them, and melt-a-bombs flat out insta-kill them. So, like, this can only ever help frags and shocks versus extremists, or just generically helps grenades versus bosses. But I'm going to get into why that is actually a huge downgrade in a second. So this is okay if you're playing solo. Like, it genuinely isn't bad, but I would never take it because I would never play this game solo. That sounds like a fucking miserable experience. Like, if you don't have buddies to sit back with and talk with, I don't know how the hell you could stand playing this game. But if you are that kind of person, then this perk is great. It's literally built for you. Literally just stand still, parry the elite. Now the elite takes double damage. Okay. I mean, if you have to play by yourself, you're not going to get more value than that over the course of an entire mission. This will never happen because, again, one, it has anti-synergy with this because it no longer scans minor enemies. So you will never get this to proc if you take that, which means these skills are mutually exclusive. Okay, and considering this skill synergizes with this skill, and this skill is the best skill in the game, kind of makes taking this a tall order. So what do you gain for giving up the best skill in the entire game? Oh, you get 1 grenade every time you scan 20 enemies. 20 seems like this is not very hard, but trust me, dude, I have tried this shit on stream. You are basically only ever going to get this to proc on, like, end events in, like, Operation Inferno, and the only chance you ever have of getting this to proc during Chaos is, like, on the elevator in the 3rd mission when all the Chaos guys spawn. You have to get lucky. One, they have to spawn with, like, 3 elites and, like, a group of trash mobs, which doesn't always happen. So if that doesn't happen, you just aren't getting this on Chaos, period. Secondly, or like for Tyranids, unless a massive enemy wave spawns, which, hint, those are the same triggers as a Terminus, so, like, you know, it's probably not going to happen in most missions, because they're even rarer than bosses are, and bosses are already somewhat rare. Like, you know, I don't really know what else to say about this skill. 1 grenade doesn't fucking matter at all, even if you get this to proc. This also encourages you to proc, or to try and scan trash mobs, which is, like, absolutely not what the tactical scan should ever be used for. This skill is just bad. It has anti-synergy with all the good perks. It encourages a really bad playstyle, and even when you go through all of that just to get it to proc, like, all you get is 1 grenade, which probably, unless it's a shot grenade, won't even kill the 20 enemies you just scanned. Like, why would you ever take this? Especially when you consider this is the fucking competition. Oh, all grenades, all teammates, everything just does 75% more damage. Oh, okay. So I can click one button, and everything everyone does for, like, the next 12 to 16 seconds is just doubled. Okay. All right. Yeah, I definitely wanna get a singular that definitely the 75% damage increase from this. This perk alone automatically makes these 2 perks invalid. Because imagine, and we'll get into this one in a second, but I just want you to imagine. We'll just talk about this as a package deal. So let's say you have 175% damage increase, and then you scan them for a total of 12 seconds with this perk. Let's say you're fighting a boss. What do you think gives more damage? 12 seconds of 125% increased damage, or 8 seconds of 2 grenades that do 25% more damage? This is basically how we can determine who graduated high school and who didn't. Anyway. This perk sounds okay, but melee is the literal worst thing in this entire game. There is literally, and I'm not exaggerating, never a time when you want to be clicking melee. The only time I could ever think of wanting to click melee is if you're running after you beat enemies in a fight, you're running away, you have no armor. There's like a pack of like 2 trash mobs just sitting there ambiently. You do a sprinting melee, which lets you go into a gun strike, which always kills trash mobs and gives you 1 armor back. But, you know, because there's so much goddamn walking in this game, you'll probably just regenerate armor before the next big fight anyways. Outside of that, I'm not exaggerating when I say this, even if you're playing Bulwark and Assault, you literally never want to click your melee. Ever. It is never worth it. No, I'm being serious. Like, even if you have a green Melt-A-Gun and you're only attacking one target, you will always out DPS even like an Assault with Thunderhammer. Like a dedicated melee class with a dedicated special melee that's supposed to be extra strong will always lose versus an under upgraded gun. Melee is just genuinely that bad in this game. One Melt-A-Shot clears like 7 meters in front of you and kills every trash mob instantly. This requires you to spend your scan to gain not even the ability to one-tap trash mobs while putting yourself at risk from getting hit by them. Like, seriously, even if this perk said melee damage increases by 200% against Minoris... Dude, this could straight up say melee damage increases by 200% against... Just in general. Just like melee damage getting a 200% increase. I still would never advise taking this perk. Even if it was just a flat 200% melee damage increase versus everything. Because if you took that perk, you wouldn't be able to take this perk. First off, giving 100% increased damage to 3 people is better than a 200% damage increase to one weapon on one person. Even if that weapon were the best weapon in your kit, you would still get, like, less overall damage. So, like, this perk is so bad, just at a fundamental level, that it's like, dude, why does this even exist? Because, you know, this perk is just, frankly, broken. Like, it legitimately just breaks the game. This perk is literally the same as having a Gallowhorn in D1. It is that strong. It is D1 Gallowhorn levels of strong. Because it just doubles everything everyone does for 12 seconds. Because you're always taking this perk, which stacks with this 4 seconds, which turns it into a 12-second scan. Which also stacks with this perk. So, like, this is basically making everything everyone does, these 3 perks, it gives you 12 seconds of, like, quad damage from Quake. So, like, one sniper, think about it. Sniper goes invisible. Their shot that breaks stealth does 95% increased damage, and it's a charged Laz Fusilli shot, and it's like, oh, wow, it does 14 base damage, does 28 on headshot. They have their own personal double damage perk, so now it's up to, like, 50 damage. Now we just added 200%, and it's like, oh, that's like, we just turned a 14 damage attack into like a 140 damage attack. Wow, that's not broken or anything. Then you remember you need to do like 12 fully charged Thunderhammer melees to do the same damage as a single tactical sniper shot. There are people who tell you that Assault is not an underpowered class, by the way. I just feel the need to throw that out there. This Space Marine helmet is literally my expression right now. I wish you could see my face because I am so dead inside talking about this. This perks are so badly made. Anyway, this perk sounds good on the front of it, but when you consider that all they have to do is walk out of the scanned area, which has anti-synergy with this, which already automatically makes this perk not good. For this perk to be usable, it would need to make the scan last like 20 seconds and like triple the radius of the scan. Then you'd like always take it. Then it'd be really good. But like the fact that the scan, even without this 25% reduction, the scan is still small enough that enemies will just hop out of it in like a single attack. And then you consider that like if you shoot the scan at a flying zoanthrope, it can just move and lose the scan. Same with, like, a Carnifex. Think about it. Extremuses and bosses, the things you absolutely want to be killing the fastest and need the damage on the most, are the enemies that move the most. So they are the... good luck scanning a Lictor like this, or a Ravener. Good luck trying to keep a Hellbrute in this tiny fucking scan area for more than, like, 3 seconds. Just to get the same damage boost as this, which is already a 12-second scan. Think about this. This scan is only active for 4 seconds longer than this scan. First off, bosses won't even last 12 seconds if you scan them as tactical. Second off, even if they do, like, you'd have to kill them within the 4-second increased time window. You have to keep a boss, the most mobile enemies in the game that are always moving towards you, and like you can never get them to sit still. Those guys, you have to keep them still for 16 seconds. And the only window where this becomes better than this is the last 4 seconds. So, like, you know, good luck. You know, good luck with that, man. You know, all I'm saying is that's why I won't let you play tactical in my games if you're going to try and be like, this is really good. This is bad because the Melt-A-Gun and the Plasma Pistol instantly break reinforcement calls. I have never seen a reinforcement call go off in, like, the last almost 70 hours of playing this game. This is okay because you'll want to do melee finishers to get armor back and to just give you a second to breathe when you're fighting a lot of things. So this is just every 90 seconds, kill all the trash mobs cuddling an elite's legs. Okay. This perk is just kind of bad because, again, like, it's only good if you get it on an extremist, but that requires you to mark an extremist. Do you see the problem here? If you've marked the extremist and it's taking like 4x damage, it's already gonna die in like 2 hits anyways. And this is also ignoring the fact that you can already one-shot them with a crack grenade or a melt-a-bomb or just like a little bit of gunfire while they're sitting in a shock grenade. Like, there's so many ways you have to just instantly kill them that it's just kind of like, why would you ever care about having this? As far as the guns go, the bolt rifle is fucking terrible. It caps out at like 8 damage. The grenade launcher gun is pretty good because the grenade launcher is good. And a synergy I completely forgot to mention is this gives you like all 9 grenades back. So, you know, you can just go like, ka-dunk, 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 execute, pull back, ka-dunk, 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 and it's like, okay, all right. Okay, buddy. But if that ever gets patched, then that grenade launcher rifle is going to be bad because it has like 130 ammo and only does like 8 damage a shot. This is arguably the worst weapon in the entire game. And the only weapon that's in competition with it is this weapon. These two are like tied for the worst weapon in the entire fucking game because the heavy bolt rifle caps out at like 7 damage. The bolt carbine caps out at like 9 damage. But they both have shit ammo economy. The SMG is okay because it gets 7.5 damage, which is actually pretty decent considering it has like an 8 fire rate and like 300 ammo. So that is like just easily the best bolt gun if you had to use a bolt gun on its own. And the plasma rifle is kind of okay. It's not good, it's not bad. It just kind of exists. It's probably where all the weapons should be balanced at. The perk tree for every weapon is going to be virtually exactly the same, by the way. Reload speed perks are usually really shit. The only thing you care about is damage. And if your weapon can kill multiple things quickly, these perks are absolutely game-breaking. For the simple fact that, you know, like right here, let's say I shoot once with the Melt-A-Gun, and that kills 9 Minoris enemies. The 25-second delay on armor restore is like automatically halved on 1 click. If your weapon can't kill multiple things in rapid succession, then these perks are bad. If it can, these perks are overpowered. But yeah, really, the only thing you care about is like magazine size and damage. Everything else just kind of fucking blows ass. Yeah, I think that covers just about everything about this character. I guess I could talk about PvP real quick. Because PvP is so brain-numbingly basic in this game, it only takes like a minute to tell you what's optimal. Shock grenades are broken. Tactical can pick up 2 of them. Just pick the standard like bolt rifle that you start with. It is easily the best weapon he has. That and the Melta rifle, but that's a different playstyle. And it's generally a more risky, less successful one. You just pick the standard bolt rifle and then camp grenade spawns. Every time they respawn, you just run in, scan the objective, and then try to flashbang people because every time you do, it's a guaranteed free kill. And there you go. It's also one of the best PvP classes.